Hello, wonderful viewers. Today we will be interviewing Myrtice J. Edwards. She is the accomplished writer of 3 books, Dirty Sally, Mixed-Race Preteens of All Nations, and Mixed-Race Kids of All Nations. Stay tuned, you're in for a treat.
Hi.
Okay, here we are. We have Myrtice. Hello, Myrtice.
Hi, how are you?
Say hi to the viewers.
Hi.
Okay, we're here to talk about your books, but first, why don't you tell me what you've been up to lately?
Well, lately I just published my 3rd book. It's called Mixed Race Preteens of All Nations,
Wow.
Unmasking the Invisible Disabilities. This book is a little bit different than the 2nd book. I chose to talk about some of the things that may deem to be a disability to the person that's going through it. Oftentimes when we think of disabilities, we think of someone who is an amputee or in a wheelchair. However, mixed-race individuals sometimes feel like they have invisible disabilities because they're dealing with things that you can't necessarily see, but they're still having to, navigate through life and deal with those issues.
So, like, they're dealing with the mixed race, with them being mixed race is kind of like their disability.
Right, because it feels like one to them.
Oh, that's really interesting. Well, why don't you walk us through your book? Is there a favorite chapter that you have, or?
Yes, there's a story in here. It's entitled, "Is That Your Son?" And it's basically a story. It's chapter 6. And it's basically talking about a couple who decided to adopt a kid. They didn't care what color the kid was. They just wanted to adopt a child to make them a family. And they just so happened to adopt an African-American son. And they're learning how to deal with these issues that they have encountered raising with these children. I think a lot of times, because I'm a parent, I have 3 children of my own, Meridian, Mercedes, and Mariah. Parenting is not always as easy as we think it is. And when you have a child who is transracially adopted, there's a lot of learning that comes with being a parent, but you also do a lot of teaching. And I think that's one of the things that parents that, they don't really necessarily understand that part. So the story is kind of just going to break the ice about some of the issues that this one particular family is dealing with and how they have to continue to educate and teach people about their family structure and what it is that they have to deal with on a regular basis.
Wow, that's so interesting. What inspired you to write this book and to write about scenarios like that? Are there people that you know that have inspired you, or why don't you tell me about that?
Well, I'm biracial, first-generation multiracial person. My biological mother is German and Dutch. My dad is African-American and Native American. I have my own invisible disabilities. I'm legally blind, and I know when people see me, they just see a woman and they don't realize that I can't see. And I think that because I have to deal with that, there are different things that I have to change my lifestyle to accommodate, just driving, basic things that people may not know that I have to deal with. And being biracial all by itself was really difficult growing up. I was adopted into an African-American family. I wasn't raised by my biological family, and that was due to that era at the time where they weren't really accepting of mixed-race children or the relationships. So that's a whole nother chapter. But I do have a wonderful relationship with my family. I grew up in a single-race family, and that was very difficult. And there weren't any books out there to help me to learn how to accept being who I was and to learn how to accept being biracial. I think that was one of the most difficult things because a lot of times we put those labels on kids and they force you to choose one race and not the other. So what happens is you empower one part of you and disempower the other. So in my books, I want to teach children to embrace their whole total essence. And one way you can achieve that is through learning about God and, including Christianity. So my books are Christian based, and I think that's where I differ from a lot of other different authors, and that is why I chose to be a self-published author, because there's not many people out there who are willing to take a risk on this subject because it can be a little controversial.
So is it your hope that children growing up that grew up in families like yours, but are mixed race, that they find these books and they help to guide them?
Yes, yes, yes. We live in a society that constantly examines the importance of race and self-identity. And so we have to learn how to live in this world that we're born into. There's a poem that I would like to share with you guys.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's in this, my third book, and it's called Invisible Disabilities. I am an unnamed, unmarked preteen who no one seems to see. I am just as good as you, but you pretend I don't exist and walk past me. Socially invisible is how you expect me to be, but no way can I hide my identity. Am I legal? Do you know my struggles? Do you know my setbacks or my strife? Am I passing as another race or ethnicity just to make it in this thing called life? Do my red eyes make you afraid, or is it just I don't mimic you? Do you know where I lay my head at night, or if I am abused? Do you know the angry place I have to return to once I pass you by? Do you automatically assume I got it good because I'm in the public eye? I see your awkward stares as you examine my assumed crossed eyes. Have it ever occurred to you that they're not crossed, instead it's a prosthetic eye? Mixed race individuals have changed the way we see race on so many levels. Away with the comb and paper bag test. I'm not down with the blue devil. The blue devil I'm referring to is the one that makes your spirits feel so low. Instead of trying to know me, you harm me, ridicule me like a penalty free throw. Just because I have ADD or ADHD, don't dismiss me as unjust or unruly. A whooping will not fix me or change my behavior, so stop being a bully. I may be albino, biracial, mixed, or battling some other invisible disabilities. Life's journey reminds us that we can live anew in God's endless capabilities.
That was so beautiful. I love how you talked about all sorts of people and all sorts of issues that kids could be going through. And I already have my copy of this book, so I can read that poem anytime I'd like. But for the viewers at home, where can they find your stuff?
My books are available on Amazon.com or CreateSpace.com. And actually, I'm going into Kindle pretty soon.
Oh, I love my Kindle.
And you will be able to share a copy with your friends. So please support me, and just please share the knowledge. All knowledge is valid. You should never suspend it. Just please share this information. And there's a quote I'd like to share with you. His name was Warren Buffett. He once said that someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a seed a long time ago. These books are my seed. So let's get to planting.
Thanks, Myrtice. Say goodbye to our viewers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.